Welcome to the English Podcast.
For listening and speaking.
Hello, everybody. I'm Emily, and I am absolutely bursting with excitement today because we're going to dive into one of my favorite topics, airport English.
And I'm Brian. Before Emily gets too carried away with her enthusiasm, let me paint you a picture. Imagine this. You're standing in a massive international airport. Your flight's boarding in 20 minutes, and you have absolutely no idea what the announcement just said. Sound familiar?
Oh my gosh, Brian, that just gave me chills. I remember my first time traveling alone to London. I was standing there at Heathrow, completely overwhelmed, and this airline staff member came up to me speaking so fast I thought she was speaking a different language entirely.
Right, and that's exactly why we're here today. We're going to arm you with all the essential vocabulary, phrases, and confidence you need to navigate any airport in the English-speaking world. No more panic, no more confusion.
Today's episode is like your personal travel companion. We're going to walk through every single step of the airport journey together, from the moment you step out of your taxi until you're collecting your luggage at your destination. Are you ready for takeoff?
Emily's airplane puns aside, Emily's airplane puns aside. Let's start with Section 1, Check-in and Security. This is where your airport journey really begins, and frankly, where most people's stress levels start climbing.
Okay, so picture this scene with me. You've just walked into the airport, those huge sliding doors whoosh open, and suddenly you're hit with this wave of activity. People everywhere, announcements echoing, screens flashing with flight information. The first thing you need to do is check in for your flight.
Now here's where we encounter our first crucial phrasal verb, check in. Most people think this just means showing up, but in airport English, it's much more specific. When you check in, you're officially registering for your flight and getting your boarding pass.
And there are actually 3 different ways you can check in. You can check in online before you even leave home. You can check in at those self-service kiosks in the airport, or you can check in at the counter with a real person. I always prefer the counter because I love chatting with people.
Of course you do, Emily. But let's be practical here. If you're learning English and feeling nervous about your speaking skills, those self-service kiosks can be your best friend. No pressure, no rushing, just you and the screen.
True, but Brian, think about the learning opportunity. When you talk to the check-in agent, you get to practice real conversation. Let me show you what I mean. Brian, pretend you're the airline staff member, and I'll be the passenger checking in.
All right, fine. Good morning. How can I help you today?
Good morning. I'd like to check in for my flight to Barcelona, please. My confirmation number is Delta 7492 Alpha.
Perfect. May I see your passport and any luggage you'd like to check in?
Of course. Here's my passport. I have this one large suitcase to check in, and I'll keep this carry-on bag with me.
Excellent. Would you prefer a window seat or an aisle seat?
Window seat, please. I love watching the world get smaller as we take off.
Here's your boarding pass and baggage claim ticket. Your flight departs from gate B12 at 2:30 p.m. Boarding begins at 2 p.m. Have a great flight.
See how natural that was? Now let me break down the key vocabulary we just used. First, check in. That's when you register for your flight. Then we have confirmation number, so that's your booking reference. Luggage or baggage. These words mean the same thing, your suitcases and bags.
And notice we used another phrasal verb there, take off. This doesn't just mean removing something like taking off your shoes. In aviation, when a plane takes off, it leaves the ground and starts flying.
Oh, and let's not forget about the different types of luggage. You have your carry-on. That's the bag you keep with you on the plane. Then there's your checked baggage, the larger suitcases that go in the plane's cargo hold. The weight limits are super important here.
Right, and if your bag is overweight, you'll need to pay extra fees. The staff might say something like, "I'm sorry, but your bag is 5 kilos over the limit." You'll need to either remove some items or pay the excess baggage fee.
Now, once you've checked in successfully, it's time for the next adventure, security. This is where things can get a little stressful, but don't worry. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to expect at the security checkpoint.
Security is actually pretty straightforward once you know the routine. You'll need to show your boarding pass, an ID to the security officer, then you'll go through the security screening process.
The key phrase here is go through security. You literally go through the metal detector, and your carry-on bags go through the X-ray machine. But first, you need to take out your liquids. That's your shampoo, toothpaste, any drinks you bought before security.
And here's where we get another important phrasal verb, take off. At security, you'll need to take off your shoes, your belt, your jacket, and put them in the plastic bins. Yes, Emily? This is a different meaning of take off than the airplane leaving the ground.
I love how English has these multiple meanings. It keeps life interesting. So you take off your shoes for security, and later your plane will take off from the runway. The security officer might say, "Please take off your shoes and place them in the bin."
If you have electronics like laptops or tablets, you'll also need to take them out of your bag and put them in separate bins. The security officer might say, "Please take out any laptops or large electronics."
And then comes the moment of truth, walking through the metal detector. If it beeps, don't panic. The security officer will probably ask you to step to the side for additional screening. They might say, "Please step over here for a quick pat down."
Once you're through security, you can collect your belongings and put everything back on. Your shoes, belt, jacket. Then you're ready to find your departure gate.
This brings us beautifully to Section 2, waiting and boarding at departure gates. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of traveling. There's something so exciting about being in that departure area, surrounded by people heading to destinations all over the world.
Emily sees romance everywhere, but let's be practical. Once you're through security, you need to find your gate. Look for the departure boards, those big screens that show flight information. Your boarding pass will show your gate number.
But here's something super important. Gates can change. I learned this the hard way when I missed a flight to Amsterdam. Always keep checking the departure boards, or better yet, listen for announcements. They might say something like, "Attention passengers on flight BA205 to Madrid. Your departure gate has been changed from A7 to A12.
Good point. And speaking of announcements, let's talk about the boarding process. Airlines typically board passengers in groups. You might hear, "We are now beginning the boarding process for Flight 237 to Tokyo. We'd like to invite our first-class passengers and passengers requiring special assistance to board at this time."
Then they'll continue with different boarding groups. The key phrase here is board the aircraft, or simply board. When you board, you're getting on the plane. Another phrasal verb to add to our collection, get on. You get on the plane, just like you get on a bus or train.
And while you're waiting to board, you might hear other announcements about delays. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay of Flight 451 to Berlin. The aircraft is currently being cleaned and will be ready for boarding shortly.
Oh, delays. They can be frustrating, but they're also a great opportunity to practice your English. Strike up conversations with other passengers, read English books or magazines, or listen to English podcasts, like this one.
Now let's talk about some common gate area vocabulary. You have the departure lounge. That's the waiting area near your gate. There might be shops, restaurants, or duty-free stores where you can buy items without paying certain taxes.
I always get so excited about duty-free shopping. You can buy perfume, chocolate, alcohol, souvenirs, all tax-free. But remember, there are limits on what you can bring into your destination country, so don't go too crazy.
When it's finally time to board, you'll line up at the gate. The gate agent will scan your boarding pass and might say, "Have a pleasant flight," or "Enjoy your journey." Then you walk down the jet bridge. That's the covered walkway that connects the terminal to the airplane.
And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, you step onto the aircraft. This is where Section 3 begins. On the plane, the flight attendant will greet you with a warm, "Welcome aboard," and help you find your seat.
Your seat number will be on your boarding pass. Seats are organized by rows and letters. For example, if your seat is 15C, that means row 15, seat C. Window seats are usually A and F. Middle seats are usually B and E. And aisle seats are usually C and D.
Now here's where things get interesting. You need to store your carry-on luggage in the overhead compartments, those bins above your seats. But be quick about it. Everyone's trying to do the same thing and space fills up fast.
If the overhead compartments are full, a flight attendant might ask you to check your bag at the gate. This means they'll take your carry-on and put it in the cargo hold, and you'll collect it when you arrive at your destination.
Once everyone's on board and seated, the flight attendants will do their safety demonstration. They'll explain how to fasten your seatbelt, where the emergency exits are located, and what to do in case of an emergency. Please pay attention to this. It could save your life.
You'll hear phrases like, "Please ensure your seatbelt is securely fastened," and "Please put your seat back and tray table in the upright position for takeoff." The tray table is that little table that folds down from the seat in front of you.
And then, here comes the magic moment, takeoff. I get goosebumps every single time. The engines get louder, the plane starts moving faster and faster down the runway, and suddenly you feel that incredible sensation of lifting off the ground. We're flying.
Emily's enthusiasm aside, let's talk about what you might experience during the flight. The captain will usually make announcements about the weather, flight time, and altitude. You might hear, "Good morning, folks. This is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet."
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, turbulence. Don't worry, it's completely normal and safe. Turbulence is just bumpy air like driving over a rough road. The captain might announce, "We're experiencing some light turbulence. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts."
During longer flights, you'll be served meals or snacks. The flight attendants will come around with a cart and ask what you'd like. You might hear, "Would you prefer chicken or pasta?" Or, "Would you like something to drink?"
This is a perfect opportunity to practice polite English. You can say, "I'll have the chicken, please," or "Could I have some water, please?" Remember to always say please and thank you. It goes a long way.
If you need to use the bathroom during the flight, we call it the lavatory or restroom on a plane. Just press the call button above your seat if you need assistance, or simply get up and walk to the back or front of the plane where the lavatories are located.
As we start our descent, that's when the plane begins coming down toward the airport. You might feel your ears pop due to the pressure change. The captain will usually announce, "We have begun our initial descent into London Heathrow Airport."
And then comes landing, the opposite of takeoff. The plane touches down on the runway, and you might hear the captain say, "Welcome to Paris." The local time is 3:15 p.m., and the temperature is 22 degrees Celsius.
Now here's a crucial phrase you'll hear. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign. Trust me, follow this instruction. Don't be that person standing up while the plane is still moving.
Once the plane stops, everyone will stand up and start getting their carry-on luggage from the overhead compartments. This is where we use another phrasal verb, get off. You get off the plane, just like you get off a bus or train.
And this brings us to section 4, arrival and customs. You've made it to your destination, but your airport journey isn't quite over yet. Now you need to navigate the arrival process, and this can vary depending on whether you're arriving in your home country or traveling internationally.
First, you'll need to collect your checked luggage. Follow the signs to baggage claim or baggage reclaim. You'll find several baggage carousels, those rotating conveyor belts where the luggage comes out. Check the screens to see which carousel has your flight number.
Here's a tip from someone who's spent way too much time staring at baggage carousels. Grab a luggage cart if you have heavy bags. They usually cost a small fee, but they're so worth it. And keep that baggage claim ticket from when you checked in. Sometimes they check it when you leave.
If you're arriving from another country, you'll need to go through customs and immigration. Immigration is where they check your passport and ask about the purpose of your visit. The immigration officer might ask, "What's the purpose of your visit?" Or, "How long will you be staying?"
Don't be nervous. Just be honest and straightforward. If you're visiting for tourism, say, "I'm here for vacation," or "I'm here as a tourist." If it's business, say, "I'm here on business." They might also ask where you're staying, so have your hotel address ready.
After immigration comes customs. This is where they check if you're bringing anything into the country that you need to declare. You'll usually have two choices: nothing to declare if you don't have any restricted items, or goods to declare if you do.
Most of the time, you'll just walk through the green Nothing to Declare channel and continue on your way. But if customs officers want to check your luggage, they might say, "Could you please open your suitcase?" Or, "Do you have anything to declare?"
Once you're through customs, you're officially in your destination country. You'll exit into the arrivals hall, where you might see people holding signs with names, taxi drivers, or families waiting to pick up their loved ones.
And speaking of being picked up, here's another useful phrasal verb: pick up, and its opposite, drop off. If someone is picking you up at the airport, they're collecting you and giving you a ride. When they brought you to the airport at the beginning of your journey, they dropped you off.
Now let's move into Section 5, our grammar workshop. We've covered a lot of phrasal verbs today, so let's review them systematically. Phrasal verbs are incredibly common in English, especially in travel situations.
Oh, I love this part. Phrasal verbs are like little language puzzles. Each one has a main verb plus a particle, usually a preposition like in, on, off, up, or out. And together, they create a completely new meaning that's often different from the individual words.
Let's start with check in. The verb check means to examine or verify, but check in specifically means to register your arrival, whether at a hotel, airport, or even on social media. I need to check in for my flight, or let me check in at the hotel.
Then we have take off with its multiple meanings. When talking about clothes, it means to remove them. Please take off your shoes. But with airplanes, it means to leave the ground and start flying. The plane will take off in 10 minutes.
Get on and get off are opposites. You get on a plane, train, bus, or any form of transportation when you enter it. You get off when you exit. We'll get on the plane at gate 15, and we'll get off the plane in Madrid.
Pick up is so versatile. It can mean to collect someone. My dad will pick me up at the airport. It can mean to lift something. Could you pick up that suitcase? Or it can mean to improve. The weather should pick up this afternoon.
And drop off typically means to leave someone or something at a specific location. Could you drop me off at the terminal? Or I need to drop off this rental car before my flight.
Here's a quick practice exercise for our listeners. I'll give you a sentence with a missing phrasal verb, and you fill in the blank. Ready? The taxi driver will blank me blank at the airport at 8 a.m.
The answer is drop me off. Here's another one. I need to blank blank for my flight online before I get to the airport.
That's check in. One more. Please blank blank your shoes and belt before going through the metal detector.
Take off. Now let's review some essential airport vocabulary. We have boarding pass, your ticket to get on the plane; departure gate, where you wait to board; overhead compartment, the storage space above your seat.
Don't forget carry-on versus checked luggage. Your carry-on comes with you in the cabin, while checked luggage goes in the cargo hold. Turbulence is that bumpy feeling during flight, completely normal and safe.
Customs is where they check what you're bringing into the country. Immigration is where they check your passport and visa. And baggage claim or baggage reclaim is where you collect your checked luggage after landing.
Now, let's practice using these words in context. Brian, let's do another role play. This time, let's imagine we're both passengers who just met at the departure gate. We're waiting for our delayed flight to Rome, and we start chatting.
All right. Excuse me, is this the gate for the Rome flight? I'm a bit confused because the departure board keeps changing.
Yes, this is gate C7 for Rome. I know, it's been so confusing. First they announced a 30-minute delay, then they changed our departure gate from C5 to here. I've been checking the departure board every 5 minutes.
Travel delays are so stressful. Is this your first time flying to Rome?
No, I've been there twice before, but this is my first time flying with this airline. I usually prefer window seats, but they could only give me a middle seat today. What about you? Business or vacation?
Vacation? I'm meeting some friends there. We're planning to take the train to Florence after a few days in Rome. I managed to get an aisle seat because I like to get up and walk around during long flights.
That sounds amazing. Oh, look, they're finally starting to board. I can see people lining up at the gate. Do you have your boarding pass ready?
Yes, right here in my hand. Well, it was nice chatting with you. Have a wonderful trip.
You too. Maybe we'll see each other on the plane. Safe travels.
That was a perfect example of natural airport conversation. Notice how we used vocabulary like departure board, boarding pass, gate, and aisle seat in a completely natural way.
And this is exactly what I mean about airports being amazing places to practice English. People are generally friendly and understanding, especially when there are delays. Everyone's in the same situation, so it's natural to start conversations.
Now, as we wrap up today's episode, let me give you some practical tips for using English at airports. First, don't be afraid to ask for help. Airport staff are trained to assist travelers, and they're used to working with people who speak different languages.
Absolutely. You can say things like, "Excuse me, could you help me find gate B12?" Or, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand the announcement. Could you repeat that, please?" People are usually very patient and helpful.
Second tip, always have your important documents easily accessible. Keep your passport, boarding pass, and any required health certificates in an easily reachable pocket or bag section. This reduces stress and makes everything smoother.
Third tip, download translation apps on your phone before you travel, but don't rely on them completely. Use them as backup support while you practice speaking real English with real people. The human connection is so much more rewarding.
Fourth tip, listen carefully to announcements. They often contain important information about gate changes, delays, or boarding procedures. If you miss something, check the departure boards or ask airport staff for clarification.
And finally, remember that making mistakes is completely normal and okay. Even native English speakers sometimes mishear announcements or get confused at airports. What matters is that you're trying, you're learning, and you're growing more confident with each trip.
Before we close, let's quickly review our key phrasal verbs one more time. Check in, take off, get on, get off, pick up, drop off. These 6 phrases will serve you well in any travel situation.
And here's my challenge for you. The next time you travel, try to use at least 3 of these phrasal verbs in real conversations. Whether you're talking to airport staff, fellow passengers, or friends and family, practice makes perfect.
Now, Emily, I believe you wanted to close with something emotional about dreams taking off?
Oh, Brian, you know me so well. Yes, I want to end on a beautiful note. You know, every time I sit in an airplane waiting for takeoff, I think about how amazing it is that we live in a world where we can literally fly to anywhere on the planet within hours. But more than that, I think about how learning English opens up these same possibilities for communication. Every phrasal verb you master, every piece of vocabulary you learn, every conversation you have, it's like building wings for your dreams.
That's surprisingly poetic, Emily. And you know what? She's right. Language learning is about more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's about connecting with people, exploring new places, and expanding your world.
When you can confidently check in for a flight, chat with a fellow passenger, or ask for directions at a foreign airport, you're not just speaking English. You're opening doors to incredible experiences and friendships that could last a lifetime.
So whether you're planning your first international trip or you're already a seasoned traveler, remember that every interaction is a chance to improve your English and connect with someone new.
The world is waiting for you. Pack your curiosity along with your carry-on. Bring your enthusiasm along with your passport. And remember, every journey begins with a single step, or in this case, a single word.
Thank you for joining us today on English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. I'm Brian.
And I'm Emily. Keep practicing, keep dreaming, and keep flying toward your goals. Until next time, safe travels and happy learning.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and practice the vocabulary we covered today. See you in the next episode.
But wait, we're not done yet. I know we covered a lot, but there's so much more to learn about airport English. What happens when things don't go according to plan? Let's dive into Section 6, Handling Travel Problems and Emergencies.
Emily's right. Unfortunately, travel problems are incredibly common. Flight delays, cancellations, lost luggage, missed connections. These situations happen all the time, and knowing how to communicate about them in English is absolutely crucial for any traveler.
Let's start with flight delays and cancellations. These are probably the most frustrating travel problems. When your flight is delayed, you might hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you that Flight 205 to Amsterdam has been delayed by 2 hours due to bad weather conditions."
When this happens, you need to know how to ask the right questions. You might say, "Excuse me, when is the new departure time?" Or, "Will this delay affect my connecting flight?" If you're worried about missing a connection, it's important to speak up immediately.
Flight cancellations are even more stressful. The airline might announce, "We are sorry to inform passengers that Flight 142 to Barcelona has been canceled due to technical problems. Please proceed to the customer service desk for rebooking assistance." This is when you need to act quickly.
Here are some essential phrases for dealing with cancellations. "I need to rebook my flight to the next available departure." Or, "Can you put me on standby for an earlier flight?" If you need accommodation, you can ask, "Will the airline provide hotel accommodation for the night?"
Lost luggage is another nightmare scenario. I once arrived in Tokyo and my suitcase went to Seoul. When your luggage doesn't appear at baggage claim, you need to report it immediately. Go to the baggage services office and say, "My luggage didn't arrive on Flight 892 from New York."
They'll ask you to fill out a baggage claim form and might say, "Can you describe your suitcase? What color is it? What size? Have your baggage claim ticket ready? That small sticker they gave you when you checked in." They'll also ask for your contact information at your destination.
Missed connections can be really stressful, especially when you're traveling internationally. If your first flight is delayed and you miss your connecting flight, don't panic. Go to the transfer desk or any airline counter and explain, "I missed my connecting flight to Rome because my incoming flight was delayed. Can you help me rebook?"
It's important to know your rights as a passenger. In many cases, airlines are required to provide compensation for significant delays or cancellations. You can ask, "Am I entitled to compensation for this delay?" Or, "Can you provide meal vouchers while I wait?" Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself politely, but firmly.
Now let's move to Section 7, Pronunciation Tips for Airport Vocabulary. Brian, I think this is super important because clear pronunciation can make the difference between being understood and facing confusion at critical moments during travel.
Absolutely, Emily. Some airport words can be tricky to pronounce. Let's start with queue. That's Queue, pronounced like Q. It's not quay-way, as many learners say. A queue is a line of people waiting. Please join the queue for security check.
Another tricky word is aisle. That's A-I-S-L-E, pronounced like aisle or aisle. The aisle seat is the seat next to the walkway on the plane. Many people try to say aisle, but it's actually aisle with a silent S. I'd prefer an aisle seat, please.
Turbulence. And is another word people struggle with. It's turbulence, with the stress on the first syllable. Don't say turbulence. Remember, turbulence is just bumpy air, completely normal during flights. The captain has asked everyone to return to their seats due to turbulence.
Let's talk about baggage versus luggage. Both words mean the same thing, but they have different pronunciations. Baggage is baggage, with stress on the first syllable. Luggage is L-U-G-I-G-E, also stressed on the first syllable. Both are correct, so use whichever feels more comfortable.
Departure and arrival can be confusing too. Departure is départure, with stress on the second syllable. Arrival is arrival, stressed on the second syllable as well. These are the two main areas of any airport: departures for outgoing flights, arrivals for incoming flights.
This brings us to Section 8, Cultural Differences and Airport Etiquette Around the World. Oh, Brian, this is such a fascinating topic. Different countries have such different approaches to airports, queuing, personal space, and communication styles.
For example, in British airports, queuing is taken very seriously. People form orderly lines and wait patiently. Cutting in line, what they call jumping the queue, is considered very rude. You'll hear people say, "Excuse me, I believe you're in my spot," if someone cuts ahead.
In American airports, people tend to be more informal and chatty. Don't be surprised if a stranger starts a conversation while you're waiting at the gate. Americans often ask, "Where are you headed?" or "business" or "pleasure." It's just friendly small talk, not intrusive questioning.
Tipping culture varies dramatically. In the US, you might tip skycaps who help with your luggage outside the terminal, usually $1 or $2 per bag. But in most European and Asian airports, tipping airport staff is not expected and might even be refused.
Personal space expectations also differ. In some cultures, standing very close in lines is normal, while in others, people maintain more distance. Generally, it's safe to follow the lead of the people around you. When in doubt, give others a bit more space rather than less.
Now let's move to Section 9, Advanced Role-Play Scenarios. We've covered the basics, but let's practice some more complex airport situations. Emily, how about we role-play a situation where someone needs to change their flight due to a family emergency?
That's a great idea, Brian. These urgent situations happen, and knowing how to communicate clearly and persuasively can make all the difference. Okay, you be the airline customer service representative, and I'll be a passenger who needs to change her flight urgently.
Good afternoon. How can I help you today?
Hello, I have a family emergency and I need to change my flight immediately. I have a ticket to Los Angeles departing at 6 p.m. tonight, but I need to get to Chicago instead. My father has been rushed to the hospital and I need to get there as soon as possible.
I'm very sorry to hear about your father. Let me see what I can do to help you. May I have your booking reference and see your ID, please? I'll check what flights we have available to Chicago today and see if we can waive the change fee due to the emergency circumstances.
Thank you so much for understanding. Here's my passport and my confirmation number is Alpha Beta 7342. Do you have anything leaving today? I'm willing to take any seat available, economy, first class, whatever you have. I just need to get to Chicago tonight.
Let me check our system right away. I have a flight departing at 8:30 p.m. with one seat left in economy class. Given the emergency situation, I can waive the change fee and move you to this flight at no additional cost. I'll need to cancel your Los Angeles ticket and issue a new boarding pass for Chicago. Is that acceptable?
Yes, absolutely. That's perfect. Thank you so much for your help and compassion. What gate will that be departing from, and do I need to go through security again since I'm changing terminals?
Gate B7, and yes, you'll need to go through security again since you're changing to a different terminal. Here's your new boarding pass. Boarding begins at 8 p.m. I hope everything goes well with your father and have a safe flight to Chicago.
That role play demonstrated several important communication strategies. First, I clearly explained the emergency situation with specific details. I said family emergency, and my father has been rushed to the hospital. Being specific and honest helps customer service representatives understand the urgency.
I also used polite but firm language as the representative. Notice how I said, given the emergency situation, I can waive the change fee. This shows empathy while explaining what the company can do. The phrase, "at no additional cost," is clear and reassuring for stressed passengers.
Let's try another scenario. Brian, let's role play reporting lost luggage. I remember you mentioned earlier that this happened to you. You be the passenger, and I'll be the baggage services representative. This is a situation many travelers face, unfortunately. Good evening. How can I help you tonight?
Hi, I have a problem. I just arrived on flight 447 from Frankfurt, and my suitcase isn't on the baggage carousel. I've been waiting for over an hour, and all the other passengers have collected their luggage and left. I think my bag might be lost.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let me help you file a report right away. Do you have your baggage claim ticket with you? It's the small sticker they attach to your boarding pass when you checked in. I'll also need to see your boarding pass and passport to start the process.
Yes, here they are. I have the baggage claim sticker right here, and here's my boarding pass and passport. The bag is a large black rolling suitcase about 70 centimeters tall, with a red ribbon tied to the handle so I could spot it easily.
Perfect. That red ribbon detail is very helpful for identification. Can you tell me what brand the suitcase is, and do you remember approximately how much it weighs? Also, could you describe some of the contents? This information will help us locate your bag more quickly.
It's a Samsonite suitcase. and it was about 23 kilograms when I checked it in. Inside I have mostly clothes, business suits, shoes, toiletries, and my laptop charger. Oh, and there's a small blue toiletry bag with my medications inside. That's actually quite important for me to get back.
Thank you for those details. I understand about the medications. That makes this more urgent. I'm filing the report now, and I'll give you a reference number, PIR 2024-7789. Keep this number safe. We'll track your bag and contact you as soon as we locate it. Most delayed bags are found within 24 hours.
What should I do in the meantime? I'm staying at the Marriott downtown for 3 days for business meetings. Can the airline reimburse me for basic necessities like toiletries and a change of clothes? And how will you contact me when you find my bag?
Absolutely. You can purchase essential items up to $200 per day, and we'll reimburse you with proper receipts. We'll call your mobile phone first, then try your hotel. When we locate your bag, we can deliver it directly to your hotel, at no charge, even if it's late at night. Is the Marriott address and your phone number current on this form?
Yes, that's all correct. Thank you so much for your help. So just to confirm, you have my reference number PIR 20247789. You'll call me when you find it, and I can spend up to $200 per day on essentials with receipts for reimbursement. Is there anything else I need to know?
That's everything. Keep your receipts organized and don't worry. In my experience, business travelers' bags are usually just delayed, not lost. We'll do everything we can to get your bag to you quickly. Here's my business card if you need to call with any questions.
That scenario covered several important aspects of dealing with lost luggage. Notice how I provided specific details about the bag: size, brand, distinguishing features like the red ribbon, and contents. The more specific you can be, the easier it is for staff to locate your luggage.
I also mentioned medications, which elevated the urgency. If you have essential items in your checked luggage, always mention them. Airlines often prioritize these cases. Key phrases to remember: file a report, reference number, delayed bags, and reimbursement with proper receipts.
Now let's move to Section 10, Advanced Airport Vocabulary and Professional Language. Once you're comfortable with basic airport English, you might want to understand more sophisticated announcements and formal language used by airport professionals.
For example, instead of "the plane is late," you might hear, "We regret to inform passengers that Flight 203 to Vienna has been subject to an indefinite delay due to adverse weather conditions at the destination airport." That's much more formal and specific language.
Adverse weather conditions means bad weather. Subject to delay is more formal than delayed. Indefinite delay means they don't know how long it will take. Learning these formal phrases helps you understand official announcements and communicate more professionally with airport staff.
Here's more advanced vocabulary: aircraft instead of plane, commence boarding instead of start boarding, proceed to gate instead of go to gate, and disembark instead of get off. These terms make you sound more sophisticated and professional in airport environments.
In safety announcements, you'll hear phrases like emergency evacuation procedures, life vest under your seat, oxygen masks will descend, and emergency exits are located. Understanding this vocabulary isn't just impressive. It's important for your safety during travel.
For business travelers, you might encounter terms like priority boarding, executive lounge access, frequent flyer status, upgrade to business class, or expedited security screening. These services come with their own specialized vocabulary that's useful to understand.
Modern airports are increasingly digital. You'll encounter mobile boarding passes, contactless check-in, biometric screening, automated passport control, and digital gate displays. Technology is changing how we travel, and the vocabulary is evolving too.
Airport shopping and dining have their own vocabulary too. Duty-free shopping, departure lounge restaurants, grab-and-go meals, currency exchange, travel retail, and transit hotel. Many airports today are like small cities with everything you need during long layovers.
Let's do a comprehensive vocabulary review before we wrap up. We've covered so much ground today. Let's start with the basic journey: check-in, security, departure gate, boarding, takeoff, in-flight service, landing, baggage claim, customs, and arrival. That's your core airport journey vocabulary.
Our essential phrasal verbs: check in, take off, clothes and planes, get on, get off, pick up, drop off, go through, security, put on, take out, step aside, line up, and board. These verbs will serve you well in any travel situation, not just airports.
Problem-solving vocabulary: delayed, canceled, overbooked, missed connection, lost luggage, file a report, reference number, compensation, rebooking, standby, and reimbursement. Hopefully you'll never need these words, but it's better to know them just in case.
Let's do one final challenge. I'll describe an airport situation, and you think about how you would respond. Ready? You're at the departure gate, and you hear, "Final boarding call for passengers on flight 305 to Dublin. This is your final opportunity to board." What do?
If that's your flight, you need to hurry to the gate immediately with your boarding pass and passport ready. If you miss this call, you might miss your flight entirely. If it's not your flight, you can relax and continue waiting for your own boarding announcement.
You know what I love most about airport English? Every single time you travel, you get to practice in a real-world environment with real consequences. There's no better motivation for learning than knowing that your English skills can literally get you where you need to go.
Here's my homework assignment for you. Next time you're at any airport, even if you're not traveling, spend some time listening to the announcements. Try to identify the vocabulary we've discussed today. Many airports have viewing areas where you can practice without needing a ticket.
And remember, everyone makes mistakes when traveling, even native speakers. I once spent 20 minutes looking for Gate 15B only to discover I was in the wrong terminal entirely. The important thing is to stay calm, ask for help when you need it, and keep practicing your English every chance you get.
We've covered an incredible amount of ground today, from basic check-in procedures to handling complex travel problems, from pronunciation tips to cultural differences, from simple vocabulary to advanced professional language. You now have a comprehensive toolkit for navigating any English-speaking airport with confidence.
But more than that, you've learned that language is about connection, adventure, and opening doors to incredible experiences. Every conversation you have at an airport, every question you ask, every problem you solve in English, it's all building your confidence and expanding your world. The sky truly is the limit.
Before we truly conclude, let's do one final comprehensive exercise. Emily, I think our listeners deserve a complete walkthrough, a step-by-step airport simulation where we use every single piece of vocabulary we've learned today. Are you ready to take an imaginary journey from check-in to arrival?
Oh, absolutely. I love this idea. Let's create a complete airport journey story, narrating each step and highlighting the vocabulary. Picture this. You're traveling from New York to London. Your taxi drops you off at JFK Airport, and now your airport adventure begins.
First step, you walk through the sliding doors into the departures terminal. You see the departure boards displaying flight information. You need to check in for your flight, so you look for your airline's check-in counters. You have your passport, boarding pass confirmation, and one piece of checked luggage.
At the check-in counter, you approach the agent and say, "Good morning, I'd like to check in for flight BA178 to London." The agent requests your passport and asks if you have any luggage to check in. You hand over your large suitcase, and she weighs it. Perfect. It's exactly 20 kilograms under the weight limit.
She asks about your seating preference, window or aisle. You choose an aisle seat because you like to get up during long flights. She hands you your boarding pass and baggage claim ticket saying, "Your flight departs from gate A15 at 8:30 p.m. Boarding begins at 8 p.m. Have a wonderful trip to London."
Next, you proceed to security. You join the queue. Remember, that's the British word for line. You have your boarding pass and ID ready. When you reach the security officer, you show your documents and she directs you to go through the security screening process.
At security, you take out your laptop and liquids from your carry-on bag, placing them in separate bins. You take off your shoes, belt, and jacket, putting everything in the plastic bins. You walk through the metal detector, no beeping. You collect your belongings, put your shoes back on, and you're through security.
Now you're in the departure lounge. You check the departure boards to confirm gate A15 is still correct. Yes, it hasn't changed. You have 2 hours before boarding, so you decide to explore. You visit some duty-free shops, buy a coffee, and find a comfortable seat near your gate to wait.
At 8 p.m., you hear the boarding announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now beginning the boarding process for British Airways Flight 178 to London Heathrow. We invite passengers in first class and those requiring special assistance to board at this time. You wait patiently for your boarding group to be called.
When your boarding group is called, you line up at the gate. The gate agent scans your boarding pass and says, "Have a pleasant flight." You walk down the jet bridge and board the aircraft. A flight attendant greets you with, "Welcome aboard," and helps you find your seat, 23D. That's row 23, aisle seat.
You store your carry-on luggage in the overhead compartment above your seat. You take your seat, fasten your seatbelt, and put your seat back and tray table in the upright position. The flight attendants begin their safety demonstration explaining the emergency procedures, life vest locations, and oxygen mask procedures.
The captain announces, "Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff." The engines get louder, the plane accelerates down the runway, and suddenly you're airborne. The captain later announces, "We've reached our cruising altitude of 37,000 feet. Flight time to London will be approximately 7 hours. During the flight, you enjoy the meal service and maybe watch a movie."
As you begin your descent into London, the captain announces, "We have begun our initial descent into London Heathrow Airport. Local time is 11:30 a.m. and the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. The plane lands smoothly and you hear, 'Welcome to London. Please remain seated until we come to a complete stop.'"
Once the plane stops, you get your carry-on from the overhead compartment and disembark the aircraft. You follow the signs to arrivals and immigration. At immigration, the officer checks your passport and asks, "What's the purpose of your visit?" You reply, "I'm here for vacation." She stamps your passport and says, "Enjoy your stay in the UK."
Next, you proceed to baggage claim. You find the carousel for your flight number and wait for your suitcase to appear. There it is. You collect your luggage and head to customs. You have nothing to declare, so you walk through the green Nothing to Declare channel without any problems.
Finally, you exit into the arrivals hall at Heathrow Airport. You've successfully completed an entire international airport journey using English. From checking in, going through security, boarding, flying, landing, immigration, baggage claim, and customs. You've used dozens of vocabulary words and phrasal verbs we've learned today.
That journey included phrasal verbs like check-in, take off, get on, get off, go through, line up, and pick up. Vocabulary like boarding pass, departure gate, overhead compartment, turbulence, baggage claim, and customs. And formal expressions like proceed to gate, commence boarding, and disembark the aircraft. What an achievement!
You know, completing that imaginary journey together makes me realize something beautiful. You're not just learning airport English, you're preparing yourself for adventures that will change your life. Every word you've learned today is a key that unlocks doors to new experiences, new friendships, and new perspectives.
Emily's right, as always. Learning English isn't just about passing tests or getting better jobs, though it certainly helps with those things too. It's about becoming a confident global citizen who can navigate the world with ease and connect with people everywhere you go.
So, whether you're planning your first international trip, preparing for a business journey, or simply wanting to improve your English for everyday situations, remember that every small step counts. Practice these phrases, use this vocabulary, and most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes and learn from them.
Thank you so much for spending this extended time with us today learning airport English. From all of us at English Podcast for listening and speaking, safe travels, confident communication, and happy learning. Until next time, keep practicing and keep exploring the world through English.